Bilderberg People is about essentially the way ideas are formed on a global basis by networks that are relatively invisible, but in many ways are very powerful.
Bilderberg is a group of people who obviously fill the void or gap in society where there are no sufficient institutions which are transnational to solve certain issues.
We find ourselves in a situation where attempts at collective action in world affairs are consistently failing. We have hugely complex problems, and we have systems that are clearly incapable of responding to those problems. The Bilderberg Group is an elite policy network. It was formed in the post-war period to cement relations between Western Europe and the United States. Throughout the Cold War, it played an extremely important part in both cementing the security relationships and also in the early formation of the European Union.
Certainly there is a core of people which are more formal group, and then there is a periphery invitee to those meetings. And the main thing is that secrecy, that operate in non-transparent way.
Among the more prominent members of the group, you would find people like Henry Kissinger, Pascal Lamy, from the UK, Kenneth Clarke, George Osborne, who's been a regular attendee, more recently attendees from the technology sector like Eric Schmidt, the chairman of Google. From the banking sectors, we have people like Josef Ackermann from Germany and Deutsche Bank. In fact, most of the major financial organizations are represented. The value of these organizations is that they smooth away the otherwise brittle edges of a system of international relations that consistently fails to transcend the protectionist agendas of national states.
The one thing keeping them together is the joint interests, because a lot of them control marshalling a huge amount of resources.
The Bilderberg meeting is a meeting of elites. And very surreptitiously, what they've managed to do is guide capital into those elite hands. We seem to be going down a route of capital going into more elite hands, so we have an elite market.
It's quite often the case that narratives that we take for granted in our news media, for instance, are created very often in forums like this. They circulate within elite circles.
The problem at the moment is, it's not a problem so much that they meet, because that is in human nature, that they're looking after their interest. The problem is because it's so opaque, the way they operate, there is no challenge to them. People are not aware, they don't have mechanism to decipher how our views are formed by somebody else.
You don't even know what question to ask to counter this effect. Essentially, the Bilderberg Group now is creating the way of thinking about wealth on a global basis.
There are many questions that need to be asked about what it is doing. Who is coming? Why are they doing it? And what implications does this have for our system of global governance?
Why isn't the press more active? Why don't we have a more inquisitive press and media? How is it that we can shape certain ways of doing things in the most gentle and relaxing sort of way? And what we see and accept as normal and never question does not occur by accident.
This book is for the very first time that somebody actually spoke with attendees of the Bilderberg meetings and got their own view why they meet and how they influence the society. So perhaps even shocking for Bilderberg attendees themselves that some of them actually broke agreement of silence.